All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Forge of Champions. We just saw Darkspawn dismantle Diabolus in a very quick first game of the series, about 23.5 minutes. Didn't look like Diabolus had their hearts or heads in the game very early on there. Krogson playing up against Vigo, who's not a mid laner, plays support mostly. Obviously went for that Zilean pick, which he feels comfortable on. I think Krogson was trying a little too hard to put his kind of like mark down on that lane, and PFI punished him for it, very quickly snowballed the wrong way.
Yeah, and you got to imagine that was really the start of where it all went wrong, because it wasn't just the mid lane, because we saw substantial leads starting to get created in like top lane, in jungle. But I mean, jungle was because PFI was just, like you said, consistently camping that mid lane. And what I want to see here from Diabolus, they don't even feel like this is really a drafting issue. I don't feel like either team had a really strong favor or favorable team comp. As you said, it's not about the intricacies of how a Tarxona matchup, or how a Tarxona team rather plays. It's just about constantly getting caught, overstepping in lane, like really basic errors that it doesn't matter what comp you run, if you make those mistakes, you're always going to get punished.
Definitely felt like Diabolus essentially made one mistake then tilted. So it's like it's just like a classic tilt game.
Yeah.
You know, they got a few kills in the mid lane that kind of put Krogson in a really bad position. I'm sure everyone else then felt that effect too.
There was the top lane as well. That I imagine had felt really bad when Akkers and Monkeys got dove by Vigo and PFI. Because at that point, Vigo and PFI were already fed off of the mid lane, and then you can make those kind of plays.
We'll see if they can bounce back. And I think you're right. I don't think there were any drafting or glaring drafting issues in that particular game. I mean, if Krogson had kind of held his own, we hadn't seen so many snowball kills, we might have got to a mid-game phase where Tarxona were in a strong position. I just felt that it was purely down to execution in that particular instance. And that's unfortunate because, you know, Diabolus come through as our European Masters representatives. There's lots of expectations on them. They were the most consistent team in the regular season. They were the expected winners. I mean, Darkspawn are in a relegation spot. You know, they've got to fight for their UK LC lives at the end of Forge of Champions. So it's not like we're in a situation where, you know, these guys coming in as favourites because they're not. You know, Diabolus were clear favourites coming in here, and they're running with a substitute support mid laner. You know, realistically, Darkspawn shouldn't have a chance, you know, in inverted commas, but they obviously did. They had a really good plan into Sonataric, and they made it work, and it went so well for them. And
I'm looking at the draft next. Like, are we going to see Diabolus say, okay, the first game, we're also going to switch up a draft. We're just going to go.
Get rid of Sonataric. Just don't.
Well, I hope that one of them bans it, because no one loves Sonataric.
I think people have realized that Sonataric has actually got a fairly weak laning phase, and you can pick these more aggressive type supports. Like, people used to pick Blitzcrank, you know, and just go for the aggressive plays in lane, shut them down when they're weakest, don't let them scale up. And that Zyra kind of did the same thing. So, you know, that's probably what we're seeing. And I've got to give credit to Hado and Yusa. I think Hado, Yusa, and Monkeys generally played the game fairly well.
Definitely.
And Yusa and Hado, although there were some hiccups here and there, they did get some ganks that went well in their lane. They did hold their own versus the Zyra lane, which can be quite difficult. But we're into next draft. We'll see how that goes. Looks like the bans are going to remain similar from Darkspawn. They don't care about Sonataric. Whether Diabolus just say, well, we'll leave it up, and if you want to first pick Taric or whatever, we'll let you have Sonataric yourself, or we can take Sona, or, you know, we'll see what happens there. But I don't expect to see Sonataric come through again, and if I do, I hope Diabolus have a better mid lane plan that will work in their favor.
I want to see a shift from Diabolus, because, as I was saying, I think you can either say we're just going to go for a similar draft, you know, and accept that there was just due to execution, but I think giving Yusa and Hado a little bit more agency in that bot lane, giving them something which Ridge can actually punish, because we've seen before that Yusa can be one of those big win conditions for Diabolus when he's able to pop off, when he gets a pick that really gets going. As we see the Zilean now, Vigo a little bit too comfortable, and that does get taken away.
I like the Zilean ban here because it kind of reduces what Vigo can take in that mid lane. They take the Xayah, they say, go on then, take Sonataric if you want to, because we sure as hell aren't. And I like that because it basically says to Diabolus, match us in a normal lane, as we're not going to take Sonataric here because we've taken the AD carry already. So now Diabolus have that choice to make as to whether they want to go for Sonataric or they just want to go and match with Yusa and Hado playing the regular AD carry support setup.
It looks like they're abandoning that, which I think is a good call.
I mean, they don't necessarily have to. This is the funny thing, because you're seeing Xayah, so you know that you don't have to pick it on first rotation if you don't want to, but the threat of Xayah Rakan, and we know Hado likes to play Rakan, they're going to get that on that first rotation.
And Gotta feel like that's a good call. Already a lot of mobility, a lot of outplay potential in the combination of the Akali and the Rakan. The hard engage of Akali, you can make those big flashy play happens with the amount of movement that she has. And gotta say, I think that the Xayah first pick, as far as first pick AD carries go, Xayah is, in my opinion, one of the safest, where she's able to usually weather the storm or whatever is thrown at her. And PFI, once again, he says, well, the first Kindred game went incredibly well. I don't mind going for it again. And last time, he got 3 marks at 6 minutes. And I think that it's an exceptional situation that we're hopefully, for Diabolus, are not going to see happen here again, because it was 2 marks that spawned at exactly the right time, come out with a kill. That's rough to face against, and the Karma getting picked up here.
For Vigo, absolutely for Vigo, because he's a support, he just want to play those support mid laners. I actually think if you're Monkeys here, I think you've got a couple of options. I wouldn't mind you going to Gragas. That's exactly what I was going to say. Gragas is considered like the generic counter alongside Lee Sin, because you know that Lamb's Respite goes down, you just slam your barrel down, knock everybody out of it and look to get the kills. And we know Monkeys is a massive Gragas player. So I really like this pickup for Monkeys. It's going to allow him to have some counterplay potential in the teamfight situations, have some dueling potential versus her as well, because you've got the immediate gap close. So yeah, this is comfort for Monkeys. He probably knows how this matchup works and is going to feel very good going into it against PFI.
And I also feel like the Gragas, it's such an all-round jungle. You can build him in a number of ways. You can play more aggressive, you can play a little bit more farm-heavy. He's very versatile, and like you said, the Explosive Cask is always a good utility tool. And we see the Thrash and the Vladimir taken away. Once again, I would not be surprised if we also see the Orianna ban, just to make sure
I actually think that Akali is going to Krogson here, because I don't think we've seen Kerberos play it. You do remember that Vladimir is a Kerberos pick too. I call him Dan Light. So Dan is like the upgraded version of Kerberos. They both play pretty much exactly the same champions, and they play the exact same way. So Kerberos and Dan obviously big Vladimir players. So it's kind of like a double whammy ban against Diabolus, because you know that both Krogson and Kerberos are very happy to take Vladimir here. It's just whether you think, okay, well they are expecting maybe Kerberos to take this Akali.
And I think that even if the Akali ends up going to Krogson, by banning the Orianna, you make sure that last time we saw Krogson on an assassin did not look. I mean, Aurelia isn't really an assassin, but it has an aggressive.
She's an assassin bruiser, right?
Yeah. And I don't mind them saying, well, if you want to go for that again, we're fine with it. We're just going to make sure that you don't get the control mates that you're so comfortable on. As you see the Ezreal being hovered here, we'll not mind that pick at all. A lot of mobility, being able to try and stay away from that, because like you said, I assume that Vigo is going to do picking up the Karma, but there is still flex potential here for Darkspawn. Nothing's really set into place. We've even seen Vigo on the other team, when they played Insomnia, play Karma top, just to make sure that there's even more support for the AD carry. Now,
I was going to say Braum is probably the best support left available at this point in time. Yeah. And it's going to give them plenty of protection versus Ezreal too. Now you're going to go for your final top lane. Again, Urgot seems like a pretty safe blind pick in a lot of circumstances, and Aka's looked pretty comfortable on it. He's also got his Gnar blind pick, which we know that he likes to take. And that kind of limits some matchups that you can take in the top lane, maybe puts Kerberos in an awkward position. So you've got plenty of those to go. Aka's just going to default onto his Gnar. It's a great pick for him, although his ultimates yesterday weren't exactly brilliant.
There was also the time he built full split push, and then I know this was particularly hard for you, and then he ran into a team fight.
Yes.
But the 1v1 from Aka's was really impressive yesterday, and I feel like the Gnar, like you said, in the blind pick scenario, I don't think there's really any strong counters to Gnar. Gnar is the champion that counters things, right? Like, and the Vayne pick up there. And now I'm wondering, are we going to see the Vayne top come out, or is it going to be something like an Ezreal mid and a Vayne AD carry? There are so many ways, but it will be Curb here on the Vayne, it looks like. And I gotta imagine that that's not the absolute worst of matchups for... yep. Okay. Excoundrel seems to have left the building, so I'm left to fend for myself. I don't know if he's coming back anytime. There we go. So back, are you okay? Just had to take a moment. That is all right.
Kerberos and Vayne top, hey. Let's go.
So you know, I'm not a resident of the UK scene. Tell me about Kerberos's Vayne in top lane.
I don't know about Kerberos's Vayne top. I hope I'd never see the day.
But here we are.
It's again, there aren't many great matchups for melee top laners into Gnar. You have got that potential to match on range. It's probably I just feel comms in draft was probably Kerberos hard trolling, going, just give me Vayne. And he's going to go and int and go like 0-10 and then just like just do nothing. But I have hope. I have hope in my boy Kerb. I think, you know...
He can do it.
He can do it, I'm sure.
He can turn the odds around.
But he plays Master Yi jungle with Lulu top and like hard Smurfs in solo queue or whatever it is. So I'm sure he can play Vayne top.
Watch Kerb like absolutely hard stomp Akkers and go like 10-0.
Oh, I can't wait.
You can't wait. Either way, you're happy, right?
This is a feast or famine composition from Diabolus, and they surely bled a bloody fleeced because they've not got much else to go on.
There's really no backup plan, is there?
Nope. If
you fall behind,
if your lanes do not do well, you're just done.
Because you might imagine you see the Vayne, you see the Ezreal, you're like, well, what about late game? But tell me, Xcan, how are you going to get to late game if you have a Klepto Vayne on top?
Well, actually,
I don't mind the Klepto.
I don't mind the Klepto Vayne. I mean, it does kind of limit your dueling or prowess in the later game by not having a more regular AD carry, but it sort of AD carry based rune.
Yeah.
But you know, you're going to get free basic attacks on the Gnar. Your range is slightly extended versus his. So you're going to get lots and lots of free gold, and you've got Klepto on the Ezreal. I mean, you're just going to generate a gold lead through Klepto. I see it now.
Double Klepto? Yeah.
Generate a pure gold lead through Klepto. I'm ready for this, Kerb. You have piqued my interest, my good sir.
Does he have your faith, though? That's the real question for me. Croxon also going for fleet footwork just to make sure he has some extra sustain.
I want to have faith.
Going into that Karma. It sounds like you really want to, but you also don't have it.
The problem is that we've also seen Croxon play Akali, and he's never looked brilliant on Akali either.
Yes. Like I said, or like you said, rather, Diabolus, if they fall behind here, like we saw happen last game, I don't think there's really any big ways unless we see major mess-ups from Darkspawn coming through. And Akkers on the Gnar, he's looked really strong. I gotta say, especially with the momentum coming through from Darkspawn for a last game, I'm fearing for the devil here, and that's not something that I think I've ever said.
Fearing for the devil. We'll see. Vigo, not a mid laner, you know, likely in general going to be a little bit less experienced in matchups than Croxon is. And Croxon is very willing to take this Akali, you know, when it is open to him in that draft phase. So he's obviously had scrim performances on the Akali, which have been good. We just haven't seen him convert that into performances in either the UK LC or into the EU Masters. Or you can see there, Vigo now actually taking a lot of damage versus Croxon. Croxon finding some good trades, and maybe this will be the game where Croxon pops off on that Akali. Maybe this will be the game where he kind of redeems himself to an extent for that last game performance on the Irelia. I really just want to spend this entire laning phase looking at the Vayne, though, you know? Just kind of
keep it there.
Just kind of want to watch Croxon for the entire game.
Just watch the 1v1.
The Klepto Vayne top.
Yeah, Kerb living it up. PFI is spotted there on top of a ward.
Ooh, that's a really, really good condemn coming out of Kerberos. That'll keep him safe as PFI gets a lot of damage down. So Kerb's going to be forced to blow through maybe some biscuits and a couple of stacks of his corrupting potion. But regardless, that was a great condemn coming out of Kerberos.
Yeah, because if Akkers was able to get on top of him, that might have been the end of him there, or at least force the flash, but none of that right now. Croxon, earlier trades really went in his favor, and with Vigo low on mana, there's no real counterplay available, but it's the sustain from the Karma that seems to be a little bit of an issue. As Croxon, though, can't believe in the end he still gets the favorable trade there thanks to a jump back in.
Yeah,
Monk
he got a chunk of healing coming out as well. And also you got to look at the fact that he's massively ahead in CS right now. Hugely ahead in CS compared to Croxon, as compared to Vigo. And that's a pretty good result. You know, Croxon needed that performance this time around.
We also saw Vigo really use a lot of mana just to make sure that he can CS in the early game. And I think that once Vigo is able to build more defensive capabilities, is going to be able to shield himself more. He might be a little bit safer against the Harass, or at least not take such bad trades, because if this keeps happening and he falls behind too much, Croxon already now almost doubling the CS. This wave is going to help a little bit, but it's not really enough to make up the full difference. We see Monk he's already gone back when he cleared his bot side jungle, got the Predator boots, is standing on top of a wall, though Akkers not showing that he knows, but he knows.
Croxon's going to activate those Predators now coming through. Kerberos looking for it as Monk jumps in, doesn't land the body slam. Predator wasted here, but Akers does take a bit of damage in return.
Thought it was really good from Akers as well, that he waits for a second there, knowing that Monk is, the moment he moves, he backs off as well, but just keeping Monk is there for just a little extra second. It might not matter, but those are the kinds of plays that if you do them consistently, it might mean the difference between life and death at one point in time. As the continuous pressure from Flirt and Fast hasn't really translated into a CS differentials. Yusa and Hado thus far seem to be able to be just fine, and we see the Klepto here already a 1,500 gold advantage for Yusa.
1,500?
Oh, sorry, 500. 1,500 would be a bit extreme, wouldn't it?
Wow, that's a really big gold advantage. As Fast Leg just gets knocked up slightly by Hado. This is a better game for Diabolus. Things looking a little less shaky. I like bringing Yusa back onto something that's a bit more traditional in terms of performance in the bot lane. You can see, PFI, early attempt at a Dragon Take here. I'm wondering whether Croxon has any idea this is going on, whether he's going to check it or not.
Don't think he is. Just goes for the clear on the wards, and his own ward didn't spot PFI jumping through. And an early Infernal Drake would be absolutely huge here, as this is, like we said, a snowballing matchup. Now, there is an early gold advantage for Diabolus, but giving extra damage to these carries for Darkspawn might really influence those matchups, and they get it without so much as a hit. It's a really sneaky Infernal Drake and a great start once again for Darkspawn Gaming.
Yep, they get the Infernal Drake off the bat here. The only worry is that mid lane is going much, much better for Croxon this time round. Vigo actually really struggling to keep up in CS, struggling to match Croxon in these trades, and you can see actually Croxon's performance coming through on this Akali. He's struggled to make it work in the EU Masters. He's struggled to make it work towards the final stages of the UKLC, but it is coming into his own as he matches up against Vigo in this top lane. Also, sorry, Vigo in this mid lane. And also Kerberos, even on CS, has got that Klepto whirring up as well. He's working towards Rageblade first item. It's not bad. I mean, Color me impressed. He hasn't inted.
He hasn't. There's still time left in this game.
There is still time left.
But he does have just use his teleport, has the flash available though, and with his condemns being as a point as we saw earlier, this is definitely going to be a matchup, I feel like, where if Kerberos is able to just stay even into the mid game, is able to get to that 2-item spike that we know and love on the Vayne, or, you know, if you're a Vayne player, don't particularly like. If you're not, then they might actually be in for a bit of a difficult time, as Akers just continuously pressuring was one of the big win conditions for Darkspawn in the games yesterday, where they didn't have a big lead going into the mid game. Now, it already looks like we have a completely different game. Yes, the Infernal Drake is nice, but Diabolus, they saw their game number one, but didn't let it tilt them, and they're looking to, at least for now, be back to form, or at the very least be able to keep up with what Darkspawn is doing.
Yusa and Hado getting some positive trades on the bottom side of the map here. Klepto working out for Yusa, as you said. He's built up a pretty significant gold advantage. As Croxon jumps in, has to use the Shroud immediately here. Vigo does not have the mana to take Croxon low enough in that situation. But regardless, this is a much better performance from our solo laners from Diabolus. And PFI now, Monk is looking for it, doesn't get smited away. Actually got level 6 for PFI as the teleport coming through, I think coming through from Croxon, as Monk is now by himself. PFI is going to be forced to use that Lamb's Respite. In comes Vigo, does not have the mana to work with. Lamb's Respite going to drop down. In goes Nart. Akers is there. This is a massive brawl in that red side map as Croxon now picks up the first blood. It's going to be returned for Akers. I think that's just going to be Monkeys getting away though. No one has caught Monkeys rotating out of the jungle, and it is a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. Yusa could be the target here, but he should be able to just dive away.
I can't believe Monkeys was just able to recall it that
I know.
What?
I know. That was insane. What a brawl. I think it was an all-out brawl except for Kerberos. I think Kerberos just got some free plates and free CS on the top side of the map.
Yeah, Akers not able to, or able to find a kill though, so that's going to make sure that it was kind of worth his while. I'd love to see the mark getting picked up off EFI. Now, as we mentioned previously, last game, he got so far ahead so early. None of that now here on the Kindred, and that means that we're probably not going to see an Infinity Edge coming up really soon once again. And it also means he's going to forfeit this mark in favor of making sure that no further plates gets taken. But that means that Monkeys, he smells an opportunity, and I do got to say, Monkeys, the proactive player was able to set up there. The fact that he's able to get out and get a 1-for-1 trade with a first blood on Croxon, in the end, it worked out very well. But when the smite was hit by PFI, I was really worried there for a second.
Yeah, Vigo has that mid lane covered, but Croxon has started to open up a significant advantage, and Diabolus looked much cleaner in this game off that Sona turret composition. Plates are going in favor of their own carries this time round, as they have picked up one in the mid lane, sorry, one in the top lane, and nearly picked up 2 in the bottom side of the map also, as Vigo now trading back against Krogson. Krogson looking much more comfortable, as we said. Feels a bit more at home on this Akali. Hasn't tilted out of his brain as he did on the previous laning phase. Can I have a look at that again? That
smite was so key here, because if PFI doesn't hit the smite, Monkeys might have hit level 6, and then that would have been just the end of it. PFI has no lamps respite. So we see the double teleport come through, and PFI just get in the way by the skin of his teeth with Croxon. He's not done yet.
Oh, Croxon's looking for it. He's got that opportunity. Flashes in, doesn't quite get the execute, but the Q will do it, and he will dive right back to that Shroud. Croxon 2-0 on this Akali.
Croxon really seeing last game. Well, last game I was 0-4 at 7 minutes, or 0-3 at 7 minutes. This time we're going to try and do it the other way around. He's a little bit slow, but already 2-0, has the Cutlass, and that is an unfortunate Glacial Fissure. I understand it, because if you get the final proc on the Concussive Blow, it's going to feel good. You might be able to force something on Hadoui and take him down, but you got to hit it.
It felt like Fastleg just went a little bit over-aggressive, and I also feel that maybe Flirt and Fastleg had that pressure on them, and they have to do something to take some kind of advantage here, because the Klepto machines of Vayne and Ezreal are just stacking up for free, and you can see Kerberos now even finished up that Rage Blade as his first item. That has already been completed now, and Kerberos is 1 item away from getting that 2-item power spike. In the meantime, though, PFI going to go for an attempted second dragon by himself.
There's a little bit of support, though, so Haddo's attempt to discourage him from taking that non-effective, as the Ocean Drake gets taken. The Mountain Drake next one is going to be a huge one as well. And the Ocean Drake going to help a little bit with the sustain. Monkeys immediately starting off the Rift Herald, and Akkers is going to go for the ward clear, and I gotta imagine he's also going to check the pit, but I don't know if they can really contest it with PFI not even close, and Vigo having such a hard time in his lane against Croxon. Nice trade, but going off into the fog against an Akali is never going to feel good.
Should be Monkeys and Kerberos picking up the Rift Herald. They'll get that off the back of a final proc. Monkeys will get that, and maybe even just immediately release it on the top side of the map. You never know.
Will not mind that. I think that as long as Akkers doesn't see you, as they try and go for a play in him again, Croxon, he's really low, but Haddo is there waiting in the shadows to try and make him safe. There is the Herald getting something on top lane. Croxon goes in here.
Oh, Haddo flashes up. Croxon gets the kill. 3-0 for our Akali on the middle side of the map. Kerberos picks up 3 plates, maybe even going for that first turret as Akers trying to defend by himself. That's a big Vayne getting smashed into the wall on the turret there as well. Great condemn. What?
The cask is scoundrel.
What?
The cask.
Yes? He missed a stationary cask? How on earth?
I think he wasn't expecting the condemn to hit and then try to make sure.
He had like a second.
I know. Let's take a look at that again. So great play here from Akkers. A lot of threat coming down. There's the condemn.
It's not. Oh my god. Never mind.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's fine. It happens.
It happens.
It happens to the best of us. More importantly, though, Croxon is now 3-0 as the Gunblade finished. And Vigo, last matchup, he was able to really hold his own. Also, on the back of a great supportive play from PFI, which is able to camp his lane to his heart's extent. But none of that this time. We see that Croxon, he's 3-0. He's approaching level 11. Already has a 1,300. Now it actually is 1,300.
Now it's actually 1,300 gold lead.
Substantial gold lead. Thanks to that play in top lane, though, actually really helped Akkers. And with the Klepto, Vayne isn't that far ahead. And if Kub gets taken down here, it might go from bad to worse.
I'm going to be looking to go aggressive onto Kerberos, who's actually doing a lot of damage. The Ram's Respite is going to be forced to get popped. We'll see if PFI can dive away. Oh, he almost gets condemned out! Almost gets condemned out, and PFI manages to secure that one. Croxon without flash. Maybe I spoke too soon on the inting, but he is only 0-1, so he's fine.
It's only 0-1. He's able to really keep up in his lane. Now Vigo, though, the explosive cast last time he did it from Monkeys, and he will be spotted there as he walks over a ward. He's going to get Raptors, and Vigo is really... He's only died once, but you can notice the pressure he's under in this lane. 20 CS behind, and now it's Monkeys and Croxon who once again are going to roam, and this bot lane dive might be really successful. PFI is trying to make his way over there. And with the wave also getting taken down and no next wave in sight, They're setting up a trap at the red buff.
Yeah, I think they're just going to get that red buff now. PFI is going to try and scan to see if anyone in that brush, but they will find that their red buff has been taken away. Unfortunately, the mark for PFI is the Razor Beaks on the opposite side of the map, and that should be an easy take for Monkeys to deny yet another mark away from PFI, who has struggled a bit more to get his marks down in this game. He is waiting on the bottom side of the map right now, though. Maybe trying to just defend against a potential dive, but nothing on the cards right now for Diabolus, who are just about 1,000 gold. Actually, there's not even 1,000 anymore. It's about 600 gold in the lead. Maybe no, now about 1,000. But regardless,
it's almost 1,000.
It's almost 1,000. It's a little bit lower than it was previously. So, oh, wait a second though. Monkeys going to get locked up. Akers should be going very low here. No one's going to finish him off. Krogson will take the kill, and then Kerberos will pick up the Rift Scuttler.
Not giving it to his jungle. I'm vain. That is my Rift Scuttler. I know it's in the jungle. We're just going to leave it be. And there goes the first turret taken down, and we actually see Diabolus now a little bit more pressure as opposed to last time where they were already so far behind at this point. Get the first turret blood, 1.5k gold lead. Are going to take the topside jungle away as well. And it's again Krogson who picks up the kill there, and this Akali is starting to get more and more out of control. And PFI, he might want a piece of that shutdown.
He is looking for an opportunity on the bottom side of the map right now, be that in mid lane with Vigo, or onto Hado here, who does manage to just juke out on that Winter's Bite. He's very happy to just sidestep, and honestly, again, Yusa and Hado just been doing their jobs well on this bottom side of the map.
And we saw them from the last time as well, where Yusa just didn't die until the very end of the game. But this time, the rest of his team is doing really well. Yes, we saw that Monkeys and Kerberos got both taken down once, but the objective play is good. The Mountain Drake is getting threatened here, and with the back time is from Darkspawn. There is nothing that they can do about this. Free objective here for Diabolus, and the initiative that we saw from Darkspawn in game number 1 seems to be lacking in. I gotta imagine this was because Diabolus, they're not making the rotations that we see them getting caught in. Krogson is an 0-5 really early on. There's no potential for such a big snowball, and this is starting to look more and more like what we kind of expected here from Diabolus.
Yeah. What you're telling me is when the Diabolus solo laners don't int it, Diabolus look pretty
yes.
good. Krogson now looking for an aggressive play onto PFI, going to force out that Lamb's Respite very early as Krogson gets the mini stun off PFI. Surely not going to last long. Very low, very, very low. And now Vigo going to be taken down, or at least close to taken down by Kerberos. 2 sub 10% HP carries walking away. The Ezreal ultimate charges up, and it snipes Vigo. That was a wonderful ultimate from Yusa as the fight continues here. Oh, Monkeys gets knocked up by that ultimate from the Braum. A good cask this time round, but no one can actually capitalize on it. And I think Fast Leg picked up that kill either from a minion or from a stray tower shot, but irrespective, they do pick up a kill, and Akers should be able to ward Diabolus away.
And if Akers was in Mega Gnar form, the Glacial Fissure might have led to complete teamwork, but instead he's stuck just trying to auto-attack, trying to get the boomerang off, and he does a little bit of damage. We see Diabolus getting taken low, but it's just not enough, and Vigo might have also provided some essential damage to shielding, and Yusa here with the snipe, picking up a number of gold, making Vigo having an even harder time in the lane as Flirt now been assigned to this mid lane, and we see Vigo going to try and take on Kerberos. I also want to draw attention to how much damage Kerberos was already doing there. Yes, he was assisted by Krogson, but just the Rage Blade was already surprising to me how fast he was able to chunk down Vigo. And I feel like the Darkspawn composition, they have a lot of support, but when they're behind, I don't know if they have the necessary damage unless they get a really big Glacial Fissure and Mega Gnar ult off to really win a teamfight scenario, but the split push with how strong Krogson currently is isn't looking much better.
I don't think there are many good Winkle to Darkspawn right now. I think they only have that teamfight capability. You can see now Vigo looking for an opportunity to get onto Hado, but unfortunately, the engage just isn't there as well. That's one of the other issues for Darkspawn. They don't really have a good way to force the issue. PFI could do this, but it's really only sort of mediocre compared to having something like, well, even
Jarvan,
which was or you know, the Urgot with the Righteous Glory last time round. They're going to try and shove down this mid lane tier 1. In the meantime, you can see Monkeys on the sidelines looking for an opportunity. But he's not going to go much further than that, and Darkspawn stopped in their tracks. In the meantime, you can still see that split push, that 1-3-1 has opened up. Kerberos on the top side, Krogson on the bottom.
And the 1-3-1, because of the lack of hard engage, is so hard to counter here for Darkspawn, because the amount of disengage available to a Gragas, Ezreal, Rakan is simply immense. And in a 1v1 scenario, I don't think you can really send anyone over because Akers is also so crucial if you ever want to get a teamfight victory because, like I said, I feel like he's both your front line and the amount of, like, the big teamfight ultimate that you need to try and turn a fight around like that. But with how slippery Diabolus is, how far they currently already are, and how well they're going to scale, it's looking really, really scary for Darkspawn after a great game number 1. Their back seems to be against the rope here in the second game against Diabolus.
They can't really force the issue, as we said. It's so difficult versus this continuous 1-3-1 from Diabolus for Darkspawn to actually just run in and try and find something. Monk is on the sidelines here. He's going to note that PFI is in that Razorbeak area, and now Monk is attempting to walk over. Yusa, so much damage coming out. Oh, the ultimate! Oh! So low, so low. PFI greedy as well because he could have procced that Lamb's Respite. In the meantime, Vigo taken incredibly low by Krogson too.
That's not greedy, Excams. That's calculated.
Nah,
he knew it wouldn't kill.
Not so sure.
I would have liked a Lamb's Respite as well. Felt like a really tough spot. And the amount of damage that Yusa's already able to do with his ultimates this early into the game when he's just on 2 items is incredible. And like you said, Vigo, they're kind of trying to match them in the split push now, but that doesn't really work. He can't duel Krogson. He's just going to take it on even under turret, as the amount of threats that he's able to put out is
Kerberos has just got wit's end now as well. He's gone, actually skipped the Blades of the Ruined King in total, which is really interesting because you usually see a bit of, flirt. Oh, forced to use the ultimate. That's Yusa putting pressure on once more. He's got 2.5 items at a core Ezreal Power Spike. They are just going to try and 3-man Baron here. No one has any idea this is going on, and with a Vayne, it will start to go down fairly quickly.
We do see the movement going down. There's no vision, but it looks like Darkspawn might be suspecting that something is off.
It's going to be very close. PFI gets knocked up. Yusa gets another ultimate, but the Lamb's fight this time round does come through. They're going to knock him out with the cask. Doesn't quite work, but it doesn't matter because the damage is already done. And now it is a really good teleport from Akers, and he's going to continue the chase out of that Baron pit. Kerberos slowed down. A single basic attack will get that done, and Akers really just a shining light from Darkspawn right now. Has that Mega Gnar form ready to go, looking to find the ultimate as he looks to transform. So close. Winter's Bite and the house should do the job. And that is a big, big shift. Although, in the meantime, Krogson just taking bot lane.
And they don't have any powered recall available. Krogson is having the Baron minions crashing into the base, and I think that he can definitely get this inhibitor turret with the next wave, although I guess just the Calamine isn't going to be enough. I thought for certain that he was going to be able to make it there, but just doesn't have enough time. And a good trade here from Darkspawn, making the best of a fairly bad situation. And like you said, once again, it is Akers who really feels to be like the sole win condition here for Darkspawn. When he's able to find these teleport flanks, it's looking good, but people like Flirt, you can't afford to get caught here, and with Krogson on top of you.
You're just dead, and now fast-legged with Vigo attempting to trade things back. Krogson going to dive back with Hado actually going to be creating a bit of space using that grand entrance. Fast-legged and Vigo have done everything they can, but it is a trade for the life of their AD carry. So they are setting up for a potential Elder Dragon win condition here. Again, later in this game goes, you really don't feel like Darkspawn match Diabolus in any way, shape or form. And Krogson's going to continue against Vigo here, who has, you know, again, out of his comfort zone in the mid lane, had a bit of a rough one. And Krogson's finally found his groove here.
Krogson have really got a good redemption arc, going from 0-5 to 5-0 in the span of one game. And that is what you're looking for. There's a Baron buff alive still on Krogson, and if I'm not mistaken, still available Yusa and Hado as well. Krogson though.
Well, Krogson maybe getting locked up here in the meantime. Kerberos and Vigo going toe-to-toe. This is so close. Akers gets one shot out. And in the meantime, PFI also knocked up. Yusa picks up the kill. 2 quick blasts across the map. And suddenly, Diabolus are looking to bear down on the Darkspawn base.
And PFI didn't have the time to use his Lamp Respite there, gets charmed and gets killed almost instantly. There's the Glacial Fissure, but there's no real follow-up damage. Flirt isn't really doing what you'd expect him to do in a scenario like this. Has just hit 2 items. While his opponent, Yusa, look at the gold differential here. Now it is 1,500 gold. Yusa has an item up, and I keep coming back to it because the gold advantage here for Diabolus.
It's 4,000 for Kerberos, by the for Krogson, by the way. Kerberos is just going to take the bot lane inhibitor. Why did I ever doubt you, Kerberos senpai? Top lane Vayne main.
It's working. You saw how fast Akers got chunked away there.
Yeah.
There's nothing he could do.
Krogson now trying to go on this top lane inhibitor, going to get locked up as Akers is trying to capitalize. He will just dive out with the ultimate though.
Use perfect execution, make sure that he does not get taken down. Now we have the constant waves, and if Diabolus manages this well, they should be able to at least pick up the bot lane inhibitor here, and maybe a turret or two as well. There's no Baron buff available anymore, and that means that the push is going to be a little bit harder, as at least for now Darkspawn is able to match them, but once Croxon's wave is going to hit the turrets, and Vigo, he can stay alive for a little bit longer, but I don't think he can stay alive long enough to really make it work, at least on his own. As the Akers again holding up the bot lane, and actually, in the end, Darkspawn don't lose a single inhibitor. They're still in a bad spot, 7.5k gold behind, but they haven't given up yet.
Yeah, we're looking to aggressive onto Kerberos and Hado now, who are isolated by themselves, but Kerberos is starting to do some real damage. But that's going to be a Flash Winter's Bite. Kerberos caught out. The Condemn will only do so much as he gets locked up in the stun. That's a big heroic play from Hado, but a heroic play that leads ultimately to his death. 2 kills now over to Darkspawn. They are still massively behind, but these picks are not going to help Diabolus.
It's not really about the goal differential now, it's just about the momentum that you get from killing 2 people and the tempo you can generate! The Fisher!
That was so good! Can they get him though? Can they take Krogson down? They cannot! And suddenly Yusa picks up PFR on the back end of things. Akers is now entering Mega Gnar form, has got that potential to flash ultimate if he wants to. But he's not. Oh, no flash.
They don't want to take the risk. And Lamb's Spy was still available there. And now we're starting to reach a point where Yusa does absolutely disgusting damage, just deleting PFI in a matter of seconds there. And we see these item spikes getting hit. Look at Kerb's third item.
Oof. That is a Randuin's Omen.
He goes with Rageblade, Wits, and Randuin's Omen Vayne, and he makes it work.
I mean, it's Tank Vayne. Have you never heard of it?
I gotta say, is that a UK special?
I mean, it's actually not bad to Akers, because if you just dive in aggressively and then use Randuin's Omen, it's actually a pretty solid 1v1 tool against the Gnar.
Yeah.
And also, you don't really need the full-on damage build, because you've got Akali, you've got a fairly damage-heavy Monkeys as well, by the way.
You got the attack speed, or you got the cold steel, right? Like the passive, you would do some attack speed. I guess we can make it work.
Or PFI looking for an aggressive play, but Hado and Yusa will just dive out.
Ooh, and I see Akers moving towards that bot side wave.
Oh, Kerberos. He's going to go in here. That's the Randuin's Omen proc, and Akers has been slowed down. You've got a Frozen Mallet. I've got Randuin's. I think Randuin's wins. If this was a game of top trumps, Randuin's would be the superior card.
And we also see that he looks to be going for a Spirit of Visage next, just wanting to get some magic damage. Understandable, because Monk is also going for a really aggressive build here, not a Tank Gragas build. Now with Croxon as far ahead as he is, you're kind of forced to just itemize defensively, and that also signals to me that in this scenario, Akers realizes I can't beat Kerberos 1v1. I just want to try and participate in these team fights and make it work from there. As Diabolus, they've got the mountain, or they got the mountain, and now they'll also be able to pick up an Infernal here. But Baron is about to spawn, and if there's a Hail Mary Baron play here from Darkspawn, that might be their way back into the game, because I feel like if they lose it here, with a bot lane inhibitor exposed and the amount of pressure that Diabolus have, it's going to be really hard for them to keep their base alive, because the constant pressure from the 1-3-1, the threat from Croxon is already there, and then when it's amplified by a wave of Baron minions, it's only going to get worse with the vision lines being set up there, and Darkspawn, I don't know if they can contest that.
Croxon now going to get caught out by the 2 solo lanes from Darkspawn. Akers is jumping in. Croxon taken very low, but I think Vigo should be able to slow this one down enough so they end up picking up the kill. Single Q should do the job. It's going to be the shutdown going over to Vigo, but in the meantime, they have started at this Baron. There isn't anyone there to contest. Can PFI potentially go? Oh, Hado, that was a little awkward, but nevertheless, still gets the knock-up. Kerberos saved the day with a Condemn.
Teleport coming in.
Teleport's coming in from Vigo. Suddenly everything has turned around as Hado gets knocked out, doesn't have the flash to get away. A great cask will actually now... I mean, Kerberos is smurfing. Look at this Tank Vayne build just pop off. He's really going for it, but he won't be able to survive through the damage coming out from Akers and Vigo. Yusa's there to clean up, though. I'm just waiting to see if he can go for the complete cleanup on a very low HP Flirt as that... Oh! That is Yusa on prime form, and they'll get the complete ace against Darkspawn.
And again, PFI getting taken out, even with the flash from Hado. The follow-up is enough to kill him. And Yusa, like you said, I love that we get to see him on a pre-activated carrier because he looks like he's smurfing.
Please don't tell me that is... what's that item that makes
Dead Man's Plate?
Yeah.
It's going to be
Is this
Dead Man's
Dead Man's Plate Vayne?
It's going to be Dead Man's Plate Vayne.
This is Randuin's Omen, Dead Man's Plate Vayne.
Look at the amount of time that Kerberos was able to... Because it's not about Kerberos popping off big. It's about Yusa having the space and time, having people low enough that he can just instantly burst him, which is what we saw. Kerberos, he's able to entertain effectively 3 people long enough.
I mean, yeah, he survived a very long time as a Vayne in that fight. I mean, most Vaynes would have been popped instantaneously if they were face-tanking 3 members of the enemy team.
But not Randuin's Omen, Dead Man's Plate Vayne.
We haven't got the Dead Man's Plate yet. Oh, we've got it now! Dead Man's Plate Vayne. Here we go, baby.
What else could it have been?
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to this next fight. He's going to run in like a speedy Vayne who's going, ooh, massive first basic attack.
And that's really what you play Vayne for, right? Like that empowered auto.
That empowered single auto. Do you get the slow on it as well? I can't remember the exact passive of Dead Man's Plate. I'm terrible.
To my knowledge, you do, and you also got the Randuins to follow it up.
I know, it's like the guaranteed Randuins proc.
So now you got even more engaged if the Rakan wasn't enough. The Baron has been taken down, and the base is hopefully soon to follow. As Kerberos making his way down mid lane, the 1v1 once again being set up by Diabolus, and thus far the base hasn't been cracked. But I gotta imagine, with this Baron buff, with the state of the game as it is right now, the pressure, the gold advantage, and the Baron buff, I don't know if Darkspawn can hold on longer, but if they can find a miracle team fight, maybe they can turn around. But this bot lane inhibitor seems to be forfeit either way.
Yeah, I mean, Kerberos and Monkish should get that regardless of what happens here. They get the mid lane inhibitor exposed too. And I think you're really looking at Diabolus bearing down on the base here as Aka's now rotating in. He's looking for a Mega Gnar play, but doesn't quite get there. The Blade of the Ruin King slows him down.
What lane inhib is... there we go. The final auto still had to come through. And we see all the entirety of the base getting sieged now. It's all or nothing for Darkspawn. And are we going to go to game 3 once again, X-Scoundrel?
I think we might be going to a game 3 here. It certainly looks the case as Diabolus have now got all 3 inhibitors. Krogson, who's had a stellar game on the Sakali, and Diabolus in general, who've really picked things up. That's Kerberos just doing some damage across the field right now. Vigo now going aggressive, but Kerberos is on the front line tank Vayne, an awkward ultimate, and suddenly the engage comes through as Diabolus storm. The Lambs respite is there, but no respite will be had. It is a slaughter of the Lambs as Diabolus go and take this second game in the series. Suddenly the devil has bit back and banished those demons.
And the demons, they tried their very best, but it's really about Krogson for me. We're also going to talk about Kerberos with like Randuin's Omen and Dead Man's Plate Vayne, but it's Krogson who in the initial game had such a hard time, and we also see what Yusa can do if he's given the opportunity and the rest of his team doesn't fall so far behind that. He's also not stuck on Sona, so he actually has the outplay potential and he makes full use of it. What a turnaround there.
Playing standard, it seems to standard. Randuin's Omen, Dead Man's Plate Vayne is not standard.
That's just Kerb. You just leave Kerb to do his thing.
Kerb has a very specific playstyle that only very few teams, I think, can make work. Diabolus made this work, and Kerberos made Dead Man's Plate, Randuin's Omen, no Blade of the Ruin King Vayne work. I'm not going to shake my head at it. The guy did a good split push roll as a Vayne, and he was a frontline Vayne tank as well in the late game fights, which was pretty insane. That's the Diabolus that we expected coming out of this tournament. We expected Diabolus to be in the driving seat. We expected Diabolus to sort of be in the advantage versus Darkspawn, and now we're going to kick it down to a 3rd game in the series. This is the decider. Diabolus look back on form. They look more comfortable going up against their hellish counterparts. And this has really been a Hell Clasico.
And Hell Clasico going to a 3rd match, you know, it's the first time we've seen Hell Clasico, but hopefully not the last, as the competitiveness from Darkspawn surprised me, but I'm also really happy to see Diabolus come back and like really showcase everything that we gotten to know and love about Diabolus, including Kerberos doing things like, well, you know, if it works, Kerb, then sure. And bot lane, Yusa and Hado having a really good performance. We saw last time that they were able to stay alive but not do much more. But here, when given a lot of time, a lot of space, time to stack up the Klepto, in the end, more than enough.
You saw Vigo as well, who isn't a mid lane main, looking a little bit more sort of uncomfortable versus Krogson. Krogson found his groove on that Akali. It's the first time I've seen Krogson make Akali work really, really well. We saw it a couple of times during the playing stages of the EU Masters, and it didn't quite work out for Diabolus. But that is Krogson looking more comfortable on an assassin. That's what I want to see from a mid lane that has had such a historic set of performances throughout the UK scene. So yeah, very happy to see Diabolus bounce back here, because it certainly made that series interesting again, and it certainly brings us to a situation where that third game is going to be extra spicy.
Yeah, it's going to be spicy, it's going to be dicey, and I gotta say, I gotta favor Diabolus, because that first game was so demoralizing, but the way they're able to just bounce back and not really let it bother them, and Krogson really going on a revenge streak and just saying, well, from 0-5 to 5-0 in a single game, that's the devil's work.
Absolutely is. We're going to cut to a we're not going to. We're cutting to a very short break. Apparently, I've got a little bit more to talk about.
That's good.
Which I don't.
I'm going
to pretend like I've got more to talk about. So I'm going to tell you more about this fine logo. You can see here this Diabolus logo. Oh, I mean, good look at the face on this Diabolus logo.
This is actually something. If you can move it, like, let's take a look at both these logos, because both of them have kind of the same theme.
Do you want to critically analyze the logos?
Yeah.
I'll critically analyze Darkspawn. You can critically analyze Diabolus.
So I think Diabolus has a little bit more playfulness. You have the red, you know, as you are the devil,
yes.
which makes a lot of sense. I do feel
These are some obvious branding choices.
In terms of a font, though, I'm not really loving it. It's more of a traditional sporty font. Well, with a team like the Griffins, I'd be like, yes.
Apparently, I have to cut you short. We are ready to go. We'll see you soon after this break.